Welcome, wrestling fans. I'm Bill Mercer alongside my partner, Joe Mann. Tonight we're looking back at the build-up to a unique championship encounter, the UWA World Women's title match between Lola Gonzalez and Irma Gonzalez at Fritz Von Erich's 1982 retirement show. First, let's talk about Lola. She was just 23 years old in 1982, a rising star from Ciudad Juarez who debuted as a teenager in 1975. Trained by the legendary Gory Guerrero, she learned lucha libre from one of the best. By the early 80s, Lola had quickly made a name for herself in Mexico. In fact, she won the UWA World Women's Championship in August 1981 by defeating former champion Vicky Williams. At the time of this Dallas showdown, Lola had been the reigning champion for nearly 10 months, carrying herself with all the confidence you'd expect from a young title holder on a hot streak.
Young, confident, some might say overconfident, Bill. Lola wasn't exactly humble pie in a 5'4" package. Being a protege of Gory Guerrero can give you a bit of an ego and probably a wicked suplex. She had every right to be cocky. By 82, she'd beaten some big names in Mexico and was one of the top women around. Heck, she would go on to hold that UWA women's belt a record 4 times in her career, so she knew she was good.
Absolutely. Lola was even billed as La Dinamita, dynamite for her explosive style. In the ring, she was fast and aggressive, a real firecracker. Now in Texas, fans hadn't seen much of her before, but they would soon. I recall explaining on air who Lola was, a Mexican champion at the top of her game. She even had experience in the U.S., touring with the NWA Hollywood promotion in California, where she held their women's title before that territory closed in '82. So Lola came into Dallas as an accomplished champion, even if she was virtually unknown to our local audience. Irma Gonzalez was the other half of this equation, and what a storied career she had. Irma was 45 years old in 1982, nearly twice Lola's age. She actually debuted way back in 1955. Think about that. Irma started wrestling when Dwight D. Eisenhower was president and Elvis was just getting famous. She is truly one of the pioneers of women's wrestling in Mexico. Back in the 50s and 60s, women's matches were practically outlawed in Mexico City, yet Irma still carved out a legendary career.
That's right. Irma's been bumping around the ring since TV was black and white. She made her debut the same year Disneyland opened. Talk about old school, Bill. By the time 1982 rolled around, Irma had been wrestling nearly as long as Fritz Von Erich himself had, and she still had some gas left in her tank. I mean, honestly, I think taking on Lola was just her way of celebrating her 27th year in the business.
Experience was certainly on Irma's side. She had seen and done it all. Irma wrestled under various ring names and gimmicks in her early days. She was even La Novia del Santo, the bride of El Santo, under a mask at one point. But by the 1980s, she didn't need any alter ego. Everyone in lucha libre circles knew Irma Gonzalez. She was a trailblazer, a 5-time Mexican national women's champion, and had held recognized world titles both in Mexico and abroad. In fact, Irma first won the UWA World Women's Championship in 1980, defeating the American star Vicky Williams for her inaugural reign. That made Irma a world champion well before Lola even entered the title picture.
And get this, she's so legit, she even won some world championships outside Mexico, including in the U.S. and as far away as Indonesia. If there was a title to be fought for, Irma probably held it, or at least challenged for it, over her 40-year career. The woman was basically a walking Hall of Fame by 82.
Indeed. By the time our story picks up, Irma was widely respected as a living legend of women's wrestling. She had trained with some of the greats of a previous generation, names like Tarzan Lopez, and even Gory Guerrero as well. It's a fun trivia point that both Irma and Lola share Guerrero as a trainer. They literally learned from the same master. Perhaps that added a little extra spark to their rivalry. Almost a proud teacher's 2-star pupils squaring off, albeit separated by many years. The championship at stake between Lola and Irma was the UWA World Women's Championship. essentially the women's world title of the Universal Wrestling Association, a major Mexican promotion. Now, back in those days, there were multiple world titles floating around in wrestling, but this one was a pretty big deal in Latin America. The UWA created the title around 1979, and in fact, the inaugural champion was an American, Vicky Williams, who purportedly won a tournament that even involved beating the famous Fabulous Moolah, at least according to the storyline.
Ha! They claim Vicky Williams beat Moolah for the belt, which I have to say is about as believable as a $3 bill. Moolah didn't lose to anyone she couldn't immediately beat back then. That was likely some creative fiction to give the title credibility. But it worked to get Mexican fans' attention. Our new women's champ beat Moolah! Yeah, sure she did. Wink, wink.
The rivalry between Lola and Irma really took off in Mexico before ever coming to Texas. When Lola won the UWA Women's World title in mid-1981, she essentially stepped into a spot that Irma had occupied not long before. You see, Irma had actually held that same title earlier in 1981. She won it in February of '81. But the championship was vacated in April that year for reasons lost to history. A few months later, Lola Gonzalez emerged as the new champion by winning a decision match for the vacant belt in August 1981. In other words, Lola was wearing a title that Irma never definitively lost in the ring. That alone set the stage for tension. Irma wanted her championship back, and Lola was the obstacle standing in her way. From late 1981 onward, Lola and Irma found themselves on a collision course repeatedly. They essentially feuded regularly over that UWA Women's World title from 1981 through 1984. Practically every time Irma earned a title shot, Lola was there holding the belt. And neither woman liked to back down. They wrestled each other all over the lucha libre circuit, from Mexico's big arenas like El Toreo de Naucalpan to smaller venues in border towns. Fans in Mexico were treated to a multi-year struggle between the arrogant young champion and the proud veteran. It was a hot feud in its own right down there. In late May and early June 1982, Lola and Irma had matches in some of the smaller Texas towns on the WCCW circuit. For instance, they were booked in places like Jacksboro and Paris, Texas, shortly before the big stadium show. Those were likely non-televised house shows where local fans got an early look at this feud. It helped both women get acclimated to the Texas crowds and ring style, and it generated some word-of-mouth buzz. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Texas Stadium here in Dallas, Texas. We've got about 6,800 fans on hand for the Fritz Von Erich retirement show. I'm Bill Mercer, alongside my broadcast partner, Joe Mann, and right now we have a special attraction. The UWA World Women's Championship is on the line as the champion, Lola Gonzalez, faces the legendary Irma Gonzalez in a one-on-one lucha libre showdown.
That's right, Bill. 2 Gonzalez's for the price of 1. No relation, folks. It's not a family reunion, just a coincidence. Though if they were related, Thanksgiving would be a suplex fest.
Lola Gonzalez, at only 23 years old, is the reigning UWA Women's Champion and a rising star from Ciudad Juarez. Across the ring is Irma Gonzalez, a true pioneer of Mexican women's wrestling, a 5-time national champion and a 2-time world champion in Mexico. At 45 years old, Irma has nearly 3 decades of experience under her belt, and she's looking to add Lola's title to her incredible career tonight.
Irma started wrestling back when Elvis was topping the charts, and here she is still kicking butt. I can barely handle my morning coffee at her age, Bill, let alone a drop kick.
Now Lola cinches in a rear chin lock, planting her knee between Irma's shoulder blades and wrenching back on the neck. The champion is applying pressure and trying to wear Irma down.
Chin lock time! Lola's turning this into a chiropractic session, except less gentle. She's gonna realign Irma's spine, whether it needs it or not.
You can see Lola also using that knee for extra leverage. This hold both slows the pace and punishes the challenger. After that high-octane start, Lola's smart to catch her breath and make Irma carry her weight for a bit.
You know, it's like hitting the pause button on a VCR, Bill. Lola's taking a breather and hoping Irma's AARP membership expires in the meantime.
Irma drags Lola up by the arm. She might be setting up a big finish. Irish whip by Irma. She sends Lola barreling into the turnbuckles hard.
Lola hit those buckles like a crash test dummy. I'm pretty sure I saw the ring move an inch on impact.
Lola isn't letting up. She pulls the aching Irma back to her feet, perhaps setting her up for something big. Lola hooks Irma's arms from behind. What's this? She lifts her up. Back-to-back stretch. Lola has Irma hoisted on her back in a gory special submission hold, stretching out Irma's spine and arms at once. A signature hold innovated by her trainer, the legendary Gory Guerrero.
You know, this looks like some kind of a medieval torture rack, Bill. Lola's using that gory special and Irma's literally hanging on for dear life. Talk about bringing out the big guns, or in this case, the big backbreaker.
Irma is in agony, suspended across Lola's back with her arms and legs trapped. Referee Dave Manning is asking if she wants to submit. Irma Gonzalez refuses. She shakes her head no, gritting her teeth. The pride of this veteran will not let her give up easily, not in front of this crowd.
I can barely hear Irma say no over the sound of my own spine screaming in sympathy. She's tougher than a $2 steak, and she won't quit.
And look, Irma is fighting it. She's moving her legs, trying to swing momentum. She slips an arm free. Irma wriggles and slides down Lola's back, escaping the hold. What an escape by Irma Gonzalez, turning around a dire situation with pure determination.
I don't know how Irma did that. She just slipped out at the back door like that hole was greased. These veterans, Bill, they know every escape trick in the book. Heck, they wrote the book.
Lola, wait. Lola shifts her weight and rolls over Irma's back, dropping down into a small package. She's got Irma cradled tight. Referee dives to count. 1, 2, 3.
What? Did that just happen? It was so sudden I almost missed it because I blinked.
3. Yes. The referee's hand hit the mat. Lola Gonzalez managed to catch Irma in a sudden small package and hold her down for the 1, 2, 3. What an incredible turn of events. Both women were trading counters at a blistering pace, and the younger champion just barely eked out the win. Irma Gonzalez looks heartbroken. She had the match in her grasp so many times. She's slowly getting to her feet. And listen to this ovation. The fans are giving Irma a standing cheer for her performance tonight. Even in defeat, Irma earned the respect of everyone here with that display of heart and skill.
Absolutely. Irma may not be leaving with a goal, but she's leaving with about 6,800 new fans in Dallas. And I'm one of them. Did you see what she pulled off in there? That match was like a highlight reel you'd show your grandkids.
In the end, the young champion retains, but Irma Gonzalez proved why she's one of the all-time greats in women's wrestling. What a contest. Speed, technique, heart, and a little bit of that classic lucha libre flair were on full display. It had the fans on their feet from start to finish.
This bout had it all. Drama, high-flying splashes, a human merry-go-round, and more reversals than a soap opera. You know, I half expected a Who Shot JR plot twist in there, given we're in Dallas.
Haha, you're not wrong, Joe. That initial lockup was a bit tentative. They took a moment to find their footing for sure. It was a slow start, perhaps even a touch of nerves in that big stadium atmosphere, but once they got going, boy, did they get going. After that shaky beginning, the bout really picked up in intensity and pace. Lola took control early, grinding Irma down with submission holds. At one point, she clamped on a nasty camel clutch, really punishing Irma's back. The champion wasn't shy about bending the rules either. She used plenty of hair pulling to maintain her advantage, drawing audible winces and boos from the crowd every time she yanked on Irma's ponytail. You could see Lola relishing the jeers. She was playing the villain to perfection, really drawing heat from these Texas fans.
Well, Lola was healing it up, that's for sure. She treated Irma's hair like it was a ripcord on a lawnmower. Just give it a good yank and watch the poor gal sputter. I bet a few ladies in the audience were holding onto their own scalps in sympathy. And how about Lola jawing at the fans? She had this grin each time they booed, like she just stolen their lunch money. Classic. You know, Bill, I think half the folks here didn't quite know what to make of these two at first, because I saw some fellas in cowboy hats scratching their heads when the match started slow. Because a women's title match in Dallas, that's something new, and the crowd was a bit quiet initially. Some probably thought it was a good time to hit the concession stand, but not for long. As these ladies ramped it up, the fans started coming alive.
Absolutely. The novelty of a women's world title bout here in world class was not lost on this crowd. At first, you could sense a bit of curiosity and maybe doubt in the air, but Irma and Lola won them over. Midway through the match, the crowd really got into it, cheering and gasping with each momentum shift, and there were plenty of those. Irma Gonzalez may have been the challenger, but she's a seasoned veteran, and she showed her experience once she weathered Lola's early storm. Irma fired back with some beautiful arm drags and quick takedowns that popped the audience. At one point, Irma caught Lola with a flying head scissors that sent the champion tumbling clear out to the turf at Texas Stadium. That got a roar from the fans. They weren't expecting that lucha libre-style athleticism. Irma was pulling out moves we don't usually see here in Texas, and it started to turn the tide of the bout.
You said it, Bill. Irma was like a luchador on fire once she got rolling. That head scissor was a thing of beauty. Lola went flying like she missed her flight and got tossed off the plane. And the crowd, ooh, they woke up big time. I saw one fella nearly spill his nachos when Irma flipped Lola to the outside. Suddenly, those same folks who were quiet were hollering like they were at a rodeo. It was like everyone collectively realized, hold on, these ladies can wrestle. Irma's resilience really hooked them. She took all that punishment, but she just kept on coming back for more. Kind of like the hero on one of those Saturday matinee serials. You knock her down, she gets right back up to fight the villain again.
Irma definitely showed a lot of heart. Even after taking Lola's best shots and some rough tactics, she kept fighting. There was a moment outside the ring that was a real turning point. Lola went after Irma on the turf, probably looking to ram her into the ring post, but Irma ducked and Lola's hand hit the steel post instead. You could hear the thud of Lola's hand on metal clear across the stadium, and the Texas crowd let out a huge ooh for that. Lola was writhing in pain, and Irma seized that opening. She rolled the champ back in and nearly scored an upset with a quick pin attempt. From there, it was fast and furious. Pin attempts traded back and forth one after another. We saw sunset flips, cradles, backslides, a whole flurry of near falls in succession. The pace of the match by this point was absolutely frenetic. Frankly, it was as high energy as any bout on the card tonight, which is saying something on a show featuring the Von Erichs and Andre the Giant.
No kidding, it became a nail-biter. I was on the edge of my seat, and I think even you are getting a little hyped there, Bill. I heard that excitement in your voice. You don't see how you get that animated too often, because these ladies turned you into a believer. And how about those moves? At one point, Lola climbed up to the second rope and crashed down on Irma with a senton splash. I about jumped out of my chair. That's the kind of high-risk move you might expect from the Freebirds or the Von Erich boys, not usually from a women's match here in '82. I mean, Lola was flying like Wonder Woman off that turnbuckle. Braces and all, impressive stuff. They really threw everything at each other short of the kitchen sink, and given Lola's mean streak, I was half expecting her to pull one out from under the ring.
Irma definitely showed a lot of heart. Even after taking Lola's best shots and some rough tactics, she kept fighting. There was a moment outside the ring that was a real turning point. Lola went after Irma on the turf, probably looking to ram her into the ring post, but Irma ducked and Lola's hand hit the steel post instead. You could hear the thud of Lola's hand on metal clear across the stadium, and the Texas crowd let out a huge ooh for that. Lola was writhing in pain, and Irma seized that opening. She rolled the champ back in and nearly scored an upset with a quick pin attempt. From there, it was fast and furious. Pin attempts traded back and forth one after another. We saw sunset flips, cradles, backslides, a whole flurry of near falls in succession. The pace of the match by this point was absolutely frenetic. Frankly, it was as high energy as any bout on the card tonight, which is saying something on a show featuring the Von Erichs and Andre the Giant. A little extra spice never hurts in wrestling. In the end, this special UWA World Women's Title bout delivered in a big way. It added a unique flavor to the Fritz Von Erich retirement show. On a card filled with legends and local heroes, these two ladies carved out their own spot and proved they belong on a big stage. The match had its weaknesses. A slow start, a few clunky moments early on, but they overcame those and turned it into a real success. The strengths far outweighed the rough edges. We saw skill, storytelling, and crowd engagement at its finest. Lola Gonzalez leaves Dallas with her championship belt, and Irma Gonzalez leaves with a lot of new fans appreciating her fight.
Lola going for the pin right here to win it. Irma went to the well one too many times to use her head flip, but Lola said no, not this time, and pinned her for 1, 2, 3.
And we shall be back with more exciting action at Texas Stadium right after this.